There comes a time in a woman's life where she has to choose the man to marry. And it's usually a tough choice for most women, after all. But there are women who choose a life that changes their whole life altogether. And that is first ladies, pastors' wives. And today we have a pastor's wife to just give us a sneak preview of what it means to be a pastor's wife. She's going to lead us on. And this is Pastor Mercy. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Expressions. So, we have had so many stories about a pastor's wife, and we observe the life of a pastor's wife. And there's one statement whereby your house has to always be open. People have to keep coming all the time. Is it true that you guys make tea for masses every weekend?
What a question.
Yeah.
Actually, I thank God because my parents are pastors.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I have had a taste of the old style and the new style. I think in the olden style, people would just walk into people's houses and you expect you're having counseling sessions in your house. So that means that pastors didn't really have a private life and a public life. But I think we are living in days with civilization, with going to Bible school, with learning, and also the people we are pastoring, especially now we are talking of Nairobi. I mean, people will not just walk
They
into
know
your
better
house.
than to
Yeah, we
appear on
have-
Sunday afternoon and have lunch.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I think it's better for us in our days.
Okay, so you have been a pastor's wife for how long?
I've been a pastor's wife for around 7 years now.
For around 7 years. So how has it been for you as a pastor's wife, and what is actually your role as a pastor's wife?
Wow. Number one, as a wife, before I become a pastor's wife,
You're-
I am a wife. And according to the Bible, a wife comes in as a helper. It's because when God created Eve, he said, I'm creating for him a helpmate, you know? So for me, I understand that my role first is a helper to my husband, who is first my husband before he's a pastor. So it all starts in the house. And then when we go to church, I also have to come in different ways. One of the things I have learned is that God brings two people together who are different. So I have to find the areas where my husband is in need and come in to help.
And you come in to help.
For example, I love counseling. He's not good at it. He's good at teaching, training leaders, and doing all these things. But then when it comes to one-on-one, and you're here, you're coming with your issue every other minute.
Yeah.
I mean, for him, he'd be like,
He's
you
so overwhelmed, probably.
have faith and believe God for your issue. But you
Yeah.
see, for me, I have that grace. So I come in. And you see, in a church setting, we need counseling as much as we need leadership training and preaching and all. So we balance each other because I can handle what he can't, and he also handles what I may not be able to.
What you may not be able. So, is it automatic that you naturally fall into this role where you feeling the gap of what is missing, or was it a strive? Was it a struggle? Did you have to learn it, or how exactly did you get to that journey of, you know what, I need to do this for my man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, for me, it's a bit different because we actually met in Bible school with
Yeah.
my husband. So that means I was already called into ministry by the time I was meeting him. So for him, I would say it's easy because I already have a passion for ministry. But I know there are other ladies who get married to pastors, and you're coming in, you're so green. Maybe you're coming from a business world or the corporate world, and here is a man of God, and you have now to figure your way out on how to come in and be the pastor's wife. But for me, it was a bit different because, as I said, we met in Bible school, and I was already training in theology.
Yeah.
And so most of the things he learned, I also learned. We were actually in the same class.
Oh, you guys were classmates.
Yes, we were. Actually, desk mates.
Okay, so was it love at first sight, or it's those that gradually grew into?
Actually, we met the very first time I stepped into that college for interview.
Oh, yeah.
We met that particular day, but that day it was like, oh, these guys who came for interview, and I also did same time, coincidence, and that went like that. And then when we went for orientation. They were the only people I knew. That was him and another guy, his friend.
Yes.
And automatically they became my acquaintances. And with time, he ended up becoming a friend. And as time went by, he proposed.
Oh, that was nice. Okay, so it was when you saw him the first time, you didn't
Yeah.
know this is going to be my husband,
No,
or you didn't start
not
claiming
at
him.
all.
Oh, Jesus, may he?
I didn't.
No.
Actually, he was just a guy I met, and we
Yeah.
are now in school together. He happens to be in my class. And with time, I realized there are a few issues I had, and I would go to him and talk to him, and he would help. with advice. And with time, actually, we would hang out as friends among other friends and
Yeah.
say like, we pray that one day we shall be family friends, you know, like I
You had no
I with my
idea.
husband and him, his wife, and like in that kasako of our friends.
Okay.
But then what happened is I didn't know. I'm
You
sure
had
God
no-
was looking at us and thinking, you guys, you were actually a husband and a wife.
I know, I
But we
think God
didn't
just
know.
sees
But we
all
were
these things,
friends
yeah.
for like a year, and then now he proposed.
Okay. So you guys met in a classroom. How did he propose?
For me, I think I've not said this. I love praying. I believe in prayer because I know that, as the Bible says, that God has, I mean, He knows our destiny. He has many of the things that will happen in our lives. He already knew about them. So I believe in consulting God. So
Yeah.
it got to a place in my life where I felt I need to settle in a relationship. And I made a prayer and I told God, I know you must be knowing this guy who is supposed to be my
particular
husband.
one. Yes,
And actually,
yeah.
I made a crazy prayer. I was walking, I didn't kneel on this one. When that thing just came, I felt now I'm tired of just being there and men are seeing a nice girl.
And they're coming, and there's
you know,
usually a phase
and
in life where they all come, like all of them in mass.
when you're a nice girl, anybody will see.
Yes, it's
both
true.
the good ones and the bad ones. But then
Yeah.
it got to a place where I felt I need to know so that I don't get confused. I'm not
It's
all over the
true.
place with this man. Tomorrow I'm with another man.
I know,
And
yeah.
do you know where I made the prayer? I was walking in Tao.
Oh, you're
Yes,
walking in
along
town
Moi
and you're like,
Avenue, and I told God, you know what?
Yeah.
Wherever this man is, I'm not gonna guess. Wherever he is, let me get to know him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was even saying whether he's in India, America. I actually didn't mention Kenya.
oh,
But,
you're not
you know,
thinking.
it was on a Sunday.
Yeah?
I'm telling you, those people who believe that God doesn't answer prayer, He does.
He really
It was
does.
on a Sunday. This guy was just my friend for the longest time. But on Thursday, he just says, I want to take you out for coffee. And I'm
Oh
thinking,
my goodness.
this has never
You're like,
happened.
oh yeah, because you're used
I've
to
never
being
seen
friends,
Odu
right?
out from the group we had
Yeah.
that we are going out for coffee. So immediately, you know, women, we have instincts. I was like,
You're like, I know.
and I
what you-
began to like give excuses. No, I
Yeah.
think today I'm not feeling well. And he said, no, let's just go for coffee.
What's the worst that can happen?
Yes. And do you know, he just spilled the beans and he said, I've been seeing you, you know, like you're a nice girl, having you as a friend, and I think now I'm considering to now take it further where we can consider marriage.
Oh,
And
that
I
was
was like,
amazing.
hey.
Yeah, he actually
was-
went straight to the point. He
Yes.
didn't say, "Oh, will you be my girlfriend?" No.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's how it started. And of course, I took time to accept. Just
Oh, you took
any
time?
Other, just like any
How
other nice
long?
girl would do. I said, give me time to pray.
Oh,
Of
you
course,
don't just
I
say
liked
yes.
him, but you don't just go saying yes.
Yeah.
Looks like you've been waiting for this
Well,
moment.
but if you have been waiting, you've been waiting. Okay,
it's
it's just
good
that
to
it's good
act-
to
to act
wait.
hard to-
Or us these days, we just say, okay. So he's like, oh, I have been waiting for this moment, and then he thinks, oh no,
no, it's important to look
wait.
like you actually are considering.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is. It is, and I feel that's really necessary because I think, okay, I don't know whether there's the traditional and the modern times or whether there's just standard rules of doing these things. We've actually become the ones who now even try to initiate. We're like, this man is taking too long. Let me just do it. You
Yes.
know, all those. But we'll talk about all that later. Now we want to go now into your role
Yes.
as a pastor's wife, and
Yes.
you're aware of all this drama that has been happening with churches and all that, and sometimes maybe it's tough to embrace the whole church as your own. And like when I was calling your church, I was told the lady calls you mom. And I was like, mom. Then I meet you and you're such a young lady.
Yes, I am.
So just to take that role as a mother for a whole church, how do you manage to do that? Because it's not easy. Me, when people call me mom on the streets, I'm like, no,
I know.
not yeah.
I know.
So yes.
For me, I thank God because I have a mentor. I have a spiritual mother.
Yeah.
So that concept of mom and all,
It's
not
a
new
beautiful
to me.
thing, yeah.
Before we started the church, House of Grace Rongai, I sat under my bishop and his wife. and the wife is my spiritual mother.
Yeah.
So what I did is I sat under her and I saw how she would run her home, how she would love on people, counsel women, walk with them, those who are hurting, and she was there for them. So I learned. So the moment I now was on the ground, like now,
You could,
this is,
yeah.
I knew what to do. But on the other hand, it's not that automatic.
It's not that
actually, for me,
easy.
I had to come to a place of telling God, you have brought these people, because I understand anybody who comes to church, it's not us, it's more because we are good or we know
Yeah.
how to preach and all. It's God who brings them.
Who brings
you
them,
know?
yeah.
And he brings them so that we can take care of them. It's like those people are God's children, and they are here so that you take care of them on behalf of God. Because if God wants to hug somebody to be loved and express love, he has to use a human being.
Yeah.
And when I had that understanding, I told God, you know what? You gotta give me a big heart.
A big heart,
Because
yeah.
I know not all will be lovable. There are those who will hurt me,
Yes,
and God
I know.
expects me to be
Because there
there
are those
for
who
them.
just want a story,
Yes.
there are those who want this,
Yeah.
and you just need grace to be able to embrace them, because
And
they look up to you as well, right?
And God has given me the grace. It wasn't like automatic like this. Of course, I had my ups and downs, but I'm getting there. And it's not like when I started. I have learned to embrace people, to know that people are different. You can't just put people in one box and expect them to behave the same, respond the same. People are different.
Yeah,
we
people are
know
very-
people have different personalities. They are coming from different family backgrounds. So when somebody behaves in a way, I try to understand, who is this person? What have they been through?
Yeah.
Before I even judge them. Because you see, even in a church, you can preach a message and somebody reacts. And you're thinking,
I know,
okay,
they take it
maybe they've
personally.
been hurt in that same area. That's why they're reacting
Exactly,
like that.
yeah, yeah.
So when you learn to learn people for who they are, you can be able to serve them better.
Yeah, it's true. So it takes you as an individual
you
to
take
always
time to
be
learn.
the greater person. Like if there's a conflict, and yes, the other person should apologize or
Yes,
should do what,
yes.
you take the
Yes,
greater person,
yes.
role, which is naturally
And
it's
it's maturity.
it's maturity, and I think it comes also with time. But now, as okay, yes, you're a pastor's wife, but you're human, and your pastor is also man. How do you manage, like, your family, putting it together and handling it, those issues, and supporting him as a man, separating that? And maybe you've had conflict in the morning, and you come and you're right in church and you're just watching, and you're like, that man has just, how do you manage to separate the two, family drama and your own, you're now as a pastor's wife here in public?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think for me, I handle my life like separately. Every area of my life separately.
It is, so it's a possibility to
It
have
is
your
possible.
own privacy.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
When we're at home, my husband is a husband. When we go to church, he's the senior pastor. And I do more of administration in our office. You understand?
Yeah.
So at that point, I can't bring in our house issues and
You're
bring them
like,
to the
I
office.
need to see
Yeah.
you at lunchtime.
No, when he calls me to his
Yeah.
office, I walk in with a notebook. Why? Because he
It's
could
a
be
meeting.
Yeah, it's a meeting, and even if we are not talking at home, here we have to talk because this is work.
I don't know if I
And
can do that though.
It's not
Yeah,
that easy.
it's not
but
that
I
easy.
thank God because do you know God has a way of preparing people before they get to where He's taking them.
Yeah.
For me, I worked with my dad, who is a bishop.
Oh yes, so naturally.
And at home, he was my dad. At church, he was the pastor or the reverend or bishop. And then in the office, he was my boss. Okay? So like we would come ride in the same car. He drops me at the parking. We walk into the office and he looks at me and he says, "Good morning, Mercy." And that
As
to
if
me
you
was
were
a
not together.
statement.
Yeah,
like
that-
these are different atmosphere.
So you can't
altogether.
call him daddy.
And I learned that discipline. Like when I'm walking into his office, I have to talk to the PA. Like, can I see the bishop? And even the PA was like, "Hey, for heaven's sake, you are the daughter."
Yeah.
But for me, I learned to respect that. And it has really given me a very smooth running, even right now as I'm working with
And
my
to
husband.
also behave professionally. You need to
Yes.
draw the line.
Yeah.
You need
so
to,
when it comes to my
yeah.
family, I also separate. I make sure my home is running well. So I don't give excuses like we get home and my husband is asking for food and I'm like, "Hey, we are
buying-
from preaching together. So what do you expect?" I
Can
make
we
sure
buy pizza?
as we are here, things are happening at home.
As
when I
well.
cannot be able to be there to fix the meal myself, I have I thank God for the girl that God has given me, my helper. So I got somebody to train her how to cook.
Oh, yeah,
just
so-
like I would. So I'm sure the meals are well presented and everything is
It's
perfect.
not shocking
And
everyone.
yes, and it gives me a lot of peace and harmony.
And raising kids as well, it's you use the same principle
I use the
as
same
well.
principle.
Yeah.
I make time for them. Like you see, right now they're in school. They are still small, but they are both in school. We have two.
Oh, you have two children?
Yes, we have two children. And I try to make sure that I make time. When we don't have meetings in church, I go home early and I spend time with them. Yes, get to know, and I drop them to school. We don't pay for their transport, so that in the morning I bond with them.
Actually, I was
I
told
drop
that's
them to school.
the most important. Like it's a way to bond. You see how we always say, "Oh, let the school bus come and pick them at 6." And I used to wonder why parents would come in the morning, pick their kids in the evening. But apparently, it's such a bonding session for the kids. Yeah.
And you see, because you're their parent, you can actually, within those maybe say 15 to 20 minutes when you're dropping them and picking them when it's possible, you can pick a lot. As
Yeah.
you're talking, you can tell when they're going to school, are they fine, are they moody, you can be able to pick those signals.
And you can tell, like you said, you can tell much more stories. Because the house, I feel like the house is an environment where conflicts can easily arise.
Yes.
But there's no way you can create conflict when you're driving to school.
No.
It's a happier moment
it's a happier
and all
moment.
that.
Yeah.
Which is really, really good.
Yes.
I know you exist in your own capacity. You are a pastor as
Yes,
well.
I am.
And so we will be talking a lot about now you and some of the projects that you're doing. Like I'm very interested in is it
The women of excellence.
Yes, women of excellence. Because actually we're used to, which you're the typical how a pastor's wife is. Modest, calm.
Yes.
Quiet. Exactly that.
Yes.
But also on the other hand, when now you're a pastor's wife and you're doing this, I've seen you very, very strong and tough. So I would like to talk about, after the break, I would really like to talk about women of excellence.
I have a passion for women.
Yes, I really,
I'm
really
looking forward to that.
yes, so I feel, you know what, we're always put, because we become Mrs. like I become Mrs. Kimani,
So you
you end up losing
the
totally
shadow of-
on the shadow of, but we are individuals, and
Yes,
I
we
think
are.
I really would like to see that after the break. So
Thank you.
thank you very much for joining us. We have just gotten into Pastor Mercy's life and she just told us how she met her husband in her university. So if you're in university, just be nice. And so yes, we will be talking about her as now an individual after the break. Thank you very much. You have been watching Expressions, and join us after the break. Thank you very much for joining us once again. We have Pastor Mercy of House of Grace Rongai, and she's here talking to us in her own capacity, but as well as, and especially as a pastor's wife. Thank you very much for coming
Thank
and
you,
sharing
Esther.
your story.
Thank you, Esther.
So before the break, you mentioned that you've been a pastor's wife for 7 years, and I googled you and all those things. So I saw that you actually also have your own identity, and you stand. And I just want to understand how you can be a pastor's wife and still have your own voice, because we know a lot of times all of us sort of disappear into our husband's title, but even more now if you're actually now a first lady. Yeah.
Actually, we need to understand that as a pastor's wife, you can't just be a pastor's wife, full stop. You need to have your own identity, and you have to cut a niche for yourself. For example, if the pastor has to keep on like advertising you, now you have to appreciate my wife, you have to love my wife, because you don't have anything to offer, then that will be a lot of pressure for your husband.
Yeah.
Because then, you'll even have issues with people in the church, because you're thinking, you're just loving on my husband and I'm here, you don't notice me. So what I tell pastors' wives is that cut a niche for yourself, because you may not be good at singing, you may not even be good at preaching, but you can be good at hugging somebody and letting them cry on your shoulder.
Yeah, have something of your own. Like people can't even know your name, not Pastor Nani's wife. Yeah,
and know you for something.
Yeah,
because people really value what you offer to them. Yeah, for example, the days I've cancelled with someone who came in crying, broken, and just God used me and I spoke to them through the word of God, encouraged them and cried with them, and they walked out smiling. The next day they see me, they are not seeing me at the shadow of Pastor Jimmy. They are seeing
You.
this is Pastor
You
Mercy
are,
who
yeah.
walked with me. So my value goes up. So I think for pastors' wives, we need to come to a place whereby we use what God has given us. And when God allows any woman to get married to a pastor and becomes a pastor's wife, he knows there's something they have to offer to the church. Many times we stereotype them. You have to be a preacher, you have to be a leader of the choir or the Sunday school teacher,
Or have
but
ability
then,
to make tea.
yeah. But there could just be that one thing that you're good at.
It's
I remember
true.
when we began the church, now our church, I realized I was enjoying what was happening around. We come to church on Sunday, people are excited, Pastor Jimmy is preaching, everything is running on well. And I got to a place like I wasn't very fulfilled. And
Yeah.
I actually have never told my husband. For some reason, I just prayed about it and I told God, because I knew if I come and tell him I'm not fulfilled,
Yeah,
he'll be
he'll-
like, what's your problem?
Yeah,
Because
I
as for me,
know.
I'm seeing the church is working, people are increasing, we are growing.
Yeah.
What is it? But as a lady, I was feeling like I need to understand what's my place.
Oh yes,
And I
yeah.
prayed.
To actually find
Yes.
yourself in the midst of all this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I realized, apart from I can preach, I can do most of these other things, I can do administration, but then I love prayer. And I realized in our church we didn't have an intercessory group. So what I did, I started it. And we started praying for the church. And I realized Pastor Jimmy would even forward some prayer requests. I have a burden for this, you guys pray.
And
I
he's even
realized-
more excited that
Yeah,
his
he
wife
was like,
is doing
hey,
something.
now you're doing something.
At least she's talented.
And as I was
yeah.
faithful in the prayer intercessory thing, God now gave me another responsibility. I developed a passion to start a women's meeting.
Yeah.
I realized I was counseling women. Today it's a marriage issue. Tomorrow a single lady is walking in. Another time somebody is being divorced, and all these issues. And I realized if we can have a forum in church where we address these issues at a go from the pulpit, many people may not even need to walk in for counseling.
Yeah, because they will be empowered, and which is the
empowered.
most important aspect about,
Because I also realized that in our society, we have a lot of come we stay marriages. So people don't really go through counseling. They are not prepared on how to handle their husbands. Thank God I was. But
Yeah.
many of them are not. So I realized there's a need to teach them, to empower them, how to handle their homes, how to be homemakers, how to be there for their husbands, how to offer help.
Which is absolutely amazing,
how-
because I feel like there's been a gap. Such a gap of, okay, in the past there used to be women elders who come and sit with girls
Yeah.
and talk to you about anything, but now no one does that. You don't get to meet your aunties or grandmother as
Yes.
often as you should.
Yes.
And so people are growing are growing via Google. Yeah. So that is a very, very good
so
initiative.
these ladies forums are so powerful.
They are so
So
powerful.
for us, I'm running a women's program called Women of Excellence.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about Women of
Yes,
Excellence,
yes.
which I'm so thrilled. In fact, I need to come for
You need to
a
come.
number of forums. I need power
to come.
and
You need to
empower.
come.
Yes. So take us through what led you to start Women of Excellence.
Yes.
And also just help us understand why it is important to have those sessions of Women of Excellence. Are we mediocre?
Yes.
What is it about us women? Yeah.
Actually, let me start from the name, Women of Excellence.
Yes.
I realized that there's an excellence in every woman, but most of us don't know that we have. And at times we look at other women who are already doing well according to what we think, and we look at ourselves and we are like, me, I don't think I have what they have, and I think I'm a second class person, and they are the ones who are now making it. And I realized that if only we can be like taught and trained, we can be able to bring out the excellence that we have in the inside of us. So my passion is to raise excellent women within and without. That means don't just look all made up, like the way you look beautiful. Your hair is
thank you.
is good. Your lipstick is matching your dress and all that. Your shoes are beautiful.
And yet inside,
And
you're
yet
totally-
inside, when you open your mouth, oh my God, people will be like, was that
Yeah,
the lady we saw walking
yeah.
in? Yeah. So that who you are in the outside matches who you are
In the inside.
And
Yeah.
with that, I've seen so many women
So much transformation.
Yeah.
Because it's
I've worked like with ladies whose marriages were almost breaking. Why? Because they are arrogant. They don't know how to talk to their husbands. They are rude. They are not submissive. I know submission already. People are thinking submission. It
we
really
need to
works.
talk about that as well. Yes,
And I've seen such women getting transformation. Just do the teachings, and somebody walks in and with a testimony. Hey, now my husband appreciates the way I treat him.
It's true.
Because I'm a bit more soft, considerate, and you know, I'm a lady.
It's
I'm not
true.
coming in like another man.
You're not a fighter.
Rough and
Because I feel
radical.
like the society is very. I don't know whether you've had this observation. I feel like there's a lot of hostility in
Yes.
the environment for both men and female.
Yeah.
So people who we are all supposed to eventually love one another and produce children and multiply the earth, but it's like this antagonism of the sexes, and so. Others are angry. Okay, there are those who are attacking women and saying, "Oh, you people, you're not even capable of anything." So you have a lot of women with a lot of esteem issues.
Yes.
A
So
lot
like
of
what
anger.
I try to do most of the times when we meet
Yeah.
is to like what do we call it? Like encourage them. Let them know that they are of worth. They are important. They are
yeah.
beautiful.
To restore
like
that,
every
yeah.
day before we start the meeting, they have to go through a session of appreciating the next lady, telling them they are beautiful,
Which is
they are
amazing, yeah,
important.
yeah.
You know, that will really boost your confidence, because for me, I believe that when you're confident, you can do anything.
Everything works. Yeah.
And when you
Because
believe in
you're not-
yourself,
yeah.
whatever you have in the inside will come out. But if you're shy, timid, and you feel like you're useless, even
Hiding.
if you're carrying gold in the inside, we'll never see it.
Exactly, yeah, which is the truth. And I feel like there are cultures that encourage women to, okay, yes, it is in the inside. Make yourself beautiful to enhance your confidence. Or dig into your heart and find out what are those hearts in your childhood that make you the angry person you have become,
yes.
or that make you the, all those things that have turned you into such an angry person. What are some of the remedies that you probably do in your session when you're trying to make women achieve their excellence? What is the remedy to heal? I feel like healing is primary.
I've realized that with women, it's very easy for them to speak out and say what they're going through, what is the
We are
problem.
talkers.
We are talkers, and
We-
talking for us is therapy.
Yeah.
And what we do, we create a forum where women can just come and talk to us, like sessions for counseling, where they get down to what they've gone through. At times, a woman will just walk in and say, I don't know where to begin because it's a long story. And I'm like, just start from somewhere. And as they keep talking, you can see them brightening up, like, yeah.
We come alive.
At times, they'll take you from their background, from their childhood, and all along. And that way, it brings a lot of healing. The other thing we do, we encourage them to let go of the bitterness they have. Because you see, women have issues from being dumped, from being raped, from so many things really go down to hurt them, and at times they can't even embrace another new relationship because of where they're coming from. So in these forums, we pray for them. We allow them to just come and just pour out their hearts.
Be
to God
yourself
also.
without feeling judged
Yes.
or share, and then you realize that it's not just your issue, it's our issue.
It's
You
our
realize
issue.
10, 20, 30 other women are going through or have been there.
Yes,
and
we also encourage testimonies. Like there are those ladies who really don't mind sharing their testimonies, and they are able to share. I was like this. I was bitter. I was hurt. I was wounded, and now here I am. It's been a process, but I'm here and I'm healed. And that way, women get to learn a lot. So in these forums, I mean, there's a lot that happens from interacting with other women, from being prayed for, from counseling, and we see women really coming out of their issues.
Inevitably we pull each other up
Yes,
when we're
yes.
down. Or that is absolutely amazing. And you do other programs as well.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do. Actually, what I believe in, I really believe in empowering women.
Yeah.
Why? Because I know that a woman is such an important person. I look at a home where a woman is down and broken. Really, the mood will just go down because we really set the pace.
Yeah.
And I think if we can empower women from our churches and from any other forum, I'm sure that we shall have better families, a better society, and a better nation as well, even a better church.
Yes.
So I think women are very important.
Yeah.
So with that, any forum that comes, like today being on air in
You have,
expression.
yes.
I'm really enjoying because I know that a woman out there will watch and they'll get to learn something. When I teach in the Women of Excellence, I really enjoy those sessions.
Yeah.
When I counsel one-on-one with a woman, I feel it's not time going to waste, because I'm building somebody who will build
Someone
her
else,
children
and then
build many other people.
it's actually a whole empire
And I also
altogether.
believe that even in our nation, if women can come together and do something, we shall have a stronger nation. And actually, God is opening even more doors for by the grace of God, to impact more women. And especially when a woman is married to a leader, be it a pastor or even a political leader, you can really do a lot to change the destiny of the people who are looking up to you. Because just by being the wife to a leader, you become a role model. And then yours is not just to sit there, because actually in the Bible you have a record of a lady who was actually Queen Vashti. And she never really played her role very well. She was actually not a good role model, because she disgraced her husband before dignitaries. But we thank God, because a woman like Esther came into the picture, and God really used her even to save her people. So I think as women, if we get to understand our role, we can really be used by God even to change the destiny of this nation. Like right now, we've been running a program, praying with the leaders' wives in our county, in Kajiado County.
Wow,
we do a monthly program. We pray together, pray for the county, we pray for the nation, and I'm seeing a lot of progress. I mean, the ladies themselves, they are becoming stronger in their roles
it
at
will
home,
make a
in
difference.
their roles,
It will
and the
make a
wives to the
difference.
leaders, and the burden for the nation is really going down to them. Like, these are real responsibility. And I'm sure through those prayers, something will happen. So I think any woman out there who is married to a leader, or you are even in leadership, don't underestimate yourself, because we have actually a grace to influence. They say that
there's a role. There's a role for you as a family woman.
We know that our husbands are leaders, but we still have the power to influence them. If you have a woman who is not really, doesn't like people, especially when you are a pastor,
if you're bitter,
and your wife doesn't like people, before long you realize that you don't have time for anybody,
or you're not talking to half the church because you're annoyed with them.
Because all the time your wife is telling you, now I don't like that
possibility.
lady, I don't like.
I know.
But when you have somebody who really has the burden of the people, it will really,
I think
go a long
wisdom
way.
is probably a virtue and a characteristic that you guys have to possess, or you always have, because at the end of the day, it's people are really looking up to you as models, and people, and also for the, like, probably people are making sounds right here on the ground, and sometimes men don't hear those voices, but you as women
actually,
who are,
the other day when we were having the prayers with the leaders in the leaders' wives in the county, I was telling them that they are the people on the ground. So you realize that you really get to know the needs.
Exactly.
That maybe your husband will never get to know.
Exactly.
Like, even in the Bible, Queen Esther got to know what was going round
on the ground. So
and
she
was
shares
able
it,
to present it to the husband. So I think we should really do more.
We should
and
do
we shall
more.
see a better nation, a better church, and even better families.
And a better and happier people. Now, Pastor Marcy, we are just about to end.
Yes.
But I, first of all, you're such a model, and you're such a good person to talk to.
Oh, thank you,
And
Esther.
I believe that you're very, you're successful in your family life. You're successful as a pastor's wife. You're successful as a mentor, reaching out to women with this program, Women of Excellence. I want you to tell me and anyone who's watching out there on how to be a woman of excellence. How do we need to get ourselves out? What do we need to do for our families? How do we go about it in our marriages and all that? Just before we close, please take us through that, the last word, words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom.
Yes.
Wow. For you to be a woman of excellence, you actually have to start by appreciating the fact that you're a woman. Because I know there are women out there who think I would have been better placed if I was a man. But if God created you as a woman, He has put within you anything that you need to excel and to do outstandingly well wherever He has placed you. So be it in your family, you can raise those children very well. Whether you are a single mother or you're married, whoever you are, you can be outstanding in what you have been called to do. Some of the things that have really helped me, number one, is that I have a personal relationship with God. There are times, even if you're married, you actually need to have a place to fall back to, because it's not all rosy every day. But when you have God with you, those moments when you feel like I need somebody to talk to and I can't go telling anybody everything, you have someone to talk to, and that is God. So for me, I have a personal relationship with God. I spend quality time every morning with God, and that really keeps me sober. The other thing, I plan my day. Women, don't just be a haphazard woman. We wake up in the morning and you attack the day. Anything that comes, you go with it. No, just plan your day. Wake up in the morning. Like for me, I start with prayer, and then I think, okay, what am I doing today? I check my diary. I plan at 10 o'clock. I'm seeing this person. I'm shopping at this time. And that way you can keep your life balanced, because life is not just one-sided. Many of us as ladies who are maybe in the corporate, you get lost in your job, but you don't think that your husband needs you, your children need you, and you also need some time with the girls out there. So just balance your life, plan, schedule your time, and you realize that you'll be able to be balanced and get the most out of every day of your life. But more so to the leaders who are out there, you are a woman, you are a leader, or you are a leader's wife. We have more responsibility. Why? Because we also become role models. By default, when you're a leader, people are looking up to you and they want to get to know, how can I become like Pastor Mercy, or how can they become like you? So what are you modeling? And at times we model without saying anything. People just watch. Today they see a hairstyle you have and they go, oh, that's the in thing, simply because you're a leader. So make sure that you model the right thing. But guess what? We all can be excellent inside out. You know, you can open your mouth and speak something that will change somebody's life. And also take care of yourself, because before people can know what you have in the inside, they have to look at you and they're like, I like. Because the Bible even says that people go by what they see. You know, it is God who sees the heart, but people go by what they see or the outward appearance. So you really have to package yourself nicely, take care of yourself, smell nice, look good, and it all goes a long way.
Feel good on the inside, and all of that will translate to the outside as a woman. And if you're a woman who's married to a leader, a pastor, a man in leadership, then you know that you actually have an extra role.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Pastor, for
you.
joining
Thank you,
us.
Esther.
It has been such a bubble of joy to have
I've
you.
really enjoyed to any time to speak to people and to share my views.
You have been watching Expressions, and our phenomenal lady of today is Pastor Mercy, a pastor's wife and also a pastor in her own capacity. If you have time, you could actually attend Women of Excellence. It will probably be good for you. Thank you very much for joining us, and keep watching Expressions every Saturday at 6.
Nahitaji macho ya roho, maana haya ya mwili yananidanganya. Iko njia ionekanayo kuwa sawa machoni pa mtu, lakini mwisho wake ni njia za mauti. Neno lako linasema, jicho langu likiwa safi, mwili wangu wote utakuwa na nuru. Nipe macho, nipe macho nione, macho nipe macho nione, sawa sawa. Nipe macho nione, macho nipe macho nione, sawa sawa. Nipe macho nione, macho nipe macho nione, sawa sawa. Yesu nipe macho nione, macho ya roho, nipe macho nione, sawa sawa. Saidie macho ya ndani, nione kama uonavyo wewe. Saidie macho ya ndani, nione mitego ya movu. Nimekukimbilia wewe Bwana, ili nikae salama. Nipe macho nione, sawa sawa. Mara nyingi watu hutazama nje, lakini wewe waona ndani. Kwa nje mtu onekana mwema, kumbe ndani ni hatari. Mwaka huu Bwana nataka nione, ili nikae salama. Nipe macho nione, macho nipe macho nione, macho sawa sawa, nipe macho nione kama alivyoona Stefano katika mazingira magumu, akamwona Yesu amesimama mkono wa kuume wa Mungu Baba. Nipe macho nimuone muhitaji, nipe macho nione unavyoona Yesu. Macho yangu yanaona nimevaa, kumbe waniona mtupu. Mara najiona ni tajiri, kumbe waniona masikini. Mara nyingine macho yananipa haki, kumbe waniona mkosaji. Nipe macho nione sawa sawa. Macho yangu yanaona nina nguvu, kumbe waniona mnyonge. Tena najiona na busara, kumbe waniona mjinga. Macho yangu yanaona ya usoni, wewe wana mwisho kabla ya mwanzo. Nipe macho nione, nione, nione. Baba nipe macho nione, nipe macho, macho nipe macho, nipe macho nione, sawa sawa. Nipe macho nione, macho nipe macho nione, sawa sawa. Nipe macho nione, macho nipe macho nione, sawa sawa. Nipe macho nione, macho nipe macho nione, sawa sawa. Nipe macho nipe macho Baba nipe macho nipe macho, macho nipe macho nione, sawa sawa. Yesu nipe macho nione.
KBC Channel 1, Kenya's watching.